Hello and welcome to the final installment in my South Korea series. This is of course part 2 of my sister's surgery journey. If you've no idea what's going on and you want to catch up to speed, I will leave a link to the South Korea series in the pinned comment down below, because to be honest, it's been a journey, to say the least. As with the last video, if you have any questions at any point throughout this video, please feel free to leave them in the comments down below or on my Instagram, which is here, as I will be doing a Q&A with my sister on my second channel, which is there, answering all of your questions about the process, about her journey, her transition, and about Docfinderkorea and Nana Hospital, who very kindly gifted my sister these surgeries free of charge in exchange for me documenting the experience. So a huge thank you to them, because they've massively helped to change my sister's life. And now let's get into part 2 of my sister's surgery journey. We waited for my sister in one of the waiting rooms upstairs from the operating rooms. So when my sister was wheeled in, I can't lie, I was kind of shocked by how bad she looked. That sounds really mean, but I don't mean it like that. I don't know what I was expecting after life-changing major surgeries like these. Leah was experiencing quite a common side effect of her anesthesia, which is that she was very cold and she was shivering a lot, and this made her look a lot worse, if that makes sense. So I initially was incredibly worried about her because she did not look like she was in a good way, but the nurses all assured me that this was quite common and it was something they saw quite often with people who had longer surgery times. I was then introduced to her blood bags. They were attached to tubes that went underneath her gums, and they measured the amount of blood from her incisions to make sure she wasn't excessively bleeding. Now, I did not imagine at some point in my life that I would be looking at plastic bottles filled with my sister's blood, but you know, life is funny. Essentially, because my sister had surgery done to her jawbone, they have to monitor the amount of blood that comes from the incision and also just from the site in general. This is how they can know if something has gone wrong, and it's just something they have to keep note of because, you know, it's best practice for safety. That night, I stayed with Leah for as long as I possibly could, but visiting hours ended at 10, at which point I had to say goodnight to her. She was also struggling because she wasn't allowed to eat or drink during this time, and obviously because she had to fast in the hours prior to her surgery, she'd now gone like a whole day without water, which was exacerbating kind of her pain, I guess. As the anesthesia wore off, she did start to feel a bit better, and she was a bit more sprightly when I left her, which made it a lot easier to leave, because I can't lie, I really just wanted to stay and give her a hug. The next morning was the day of her checkup with Dr. Kim, and she was also getting these blood tubes removed. So she had all of her facial padding removed as well as her compression mask before Dr. Kim checked her over and began to remove the tubes. This is a bit graphic, by the way. You can see him pulling them out from underneath her gums. It's just... look at the sense of relief on her face. Dr. Kim did a double check of her jaw and said that everything felt great. Leah looked to be in really good shape, although she was starting to swell massively at this point. After Dr. Kim gave her the all clear that everything was going well and she was healing fine, Leah was able to go home, so we packed up her stuff and went downstairs to the pharmacy to get all of the medications she needed to help prevent infections or possible side effects. There is a mass of medication, but it's very helpfully laid out into the pills that she needs to take for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I was kind of shocked by the pure amount of medication my sister had to take, but a lot of them were preventatives to help reduce her chance of infection. There were painkillers, antibiotics. She was just on a whole array of things, including this antibacterial mouthwash that she had to use to keep the incisions in her mouth clean. Anna from Docfinderkorea was incredible during this because she relayed everything the pharmacist said and translated it, making sure my sister knew exactly what medications to take and when, and also what they were for, so that my sister actually knew what it was she was taking, which was really helpful. Docfinderkorea also gave Leah a whole box of pumpkin juice, which is apparently really good for swelling, and I did try one, it tastes pretty good. So once we got all of her medications, we headed back to the hotel where we would remain for the next 7 days while Leah started her recovery process and just rested in general after the heavy duty surgery she just had. I didn't actually film much of this period because, to be honest, my sister just slept for pretty much the whole thing, which it's not exactly riveting content. She was on liquid foods only for this time, and that was probably the biggest battle she had. There was a lot of Korean porridge consumed. I will say that. There was a lot of soup There was a lot of ice cream and yogurt. As we were leaving the day after Leah's checkup, the day before her checkup, we did have to go and get a PCR done. Now, this PCR is so that you can get tested to make sure that you didn't contract COVID whilst you were in Korea and that you can travel back to the UK. Anna from Docfinderkorea organised us a taxi to and from the testing location. Once we arrived at the PCR testing location, we tried to kind of navigate our way through all the different things that we had to do. It was a little bit confusing at first. We weren't 100% sure where we needed to sit, but thankfully a lot of the health workers spoke perfect English and they were very, very kind and translated for us, so we weren't just walking around like buffoons. I won't lie, the PCR was incredibly painful. Koreans don't mess around when they give you PCR tests. They are going for your brain. They will. It actually made me cry. After we had our PCR test, we had to wait for the results for 24 hours, so we would come back the next day to pick up a printed piece of paper with our results on, which would allow us to fly. The next day was Leah's checkup, and Anna from Docfinderkorea met us in the lobby of our hotel to walk us to Nana. Walking is really good for de-swelling, so we walked instead of taking the taxi like we usually do. Once we arrived at Nana, it was just a short wait in the waiting room, which, by the way, they have very good taste of chairs in this waiting room, exceptionally comfortable. Before we got to go and see Dr. Kim for Leah's final 7-day checkup, and Dr. Hwang's consultation would happen later that day.
먼저 뜨고 원장님 경과 먼저 보실 거예요.
First, we're only going to remove the tape, and then we're gonna see the doctor. And stitches removal is after that.
Oh, you do have a bit of bruises.
You don't have any abnormal pains or whatsoever, right? Okay. Just open your arm, the doctor has to see inside. Was there still? Does any of the stitches inside your mouth bother too much?
The front ones hurt a bit when I eat. But that's fine.
Yeah, the surgery went really well. You still, of course, have a bit of bruising and then swelling on the lower side of your face, but that's gonna, of course, go away. And then for the nose, the doctor tried to make the very kind of feminine type of, nose with a good line. See that?
It's huge difference.
Yeah.
여기 이렇게 이제 튀어나오고 이런 거 이제 이렇게 내가
You see that it was a bit of side angle, a square angle on those sides, but then he smoothed it out.
여기 턱끝도 이제 좀 줄여주고 여기 비대칭기 튀어나온 것도 이렇게 맞춰주는.
And those are the pins?
Yeah, of course. And then remember we talked about how we have a deviation on the, on the chin, and then he also fixed that. You see the difference.
Wow.
Yeah, that's good. And that's from the right side. You see the angle, and then the chin can forward up a little bit, right?
수술은 잘 됐어요.
So everything went really well.
Dr. Kim gave Leah the all clear and said that he was actually incredibly impressed with the fact that she hadn't actually swollen or bruised much, which was very uncommon for the type of surgery she had. I mean, she was obviously swollen and bruised, as you can see, but much less so than a lot of other patients who undergo this surgery. So I think she just took that to say that she was superhuman, and she had a bit of an ego about that. I'm not going to lie to you, it was a bit of an ego. After Leah's consultation, Anna from Docfinderkorea was very kind to help organise us a trip to the COEX Mall, which, if you don't know, is very, very famous for their library. But on the way there, I got very distracted by this Kakao Friends toy, and I wanted to take him home so badly, but I couldn't quite fit it in my suitcase, so I compromised and got a little one instead. But we went and saw the very famous library and took some very cute pictures. We also went to lunch together, which was really lovely to have some nice Korean food, before we headed back to Nana Hospital for Leah's breast checkup.
불편하신 거 없는데 약간 따뜻하게 느껴지고 고정 브라 때문에 좀 피부가 실려가지고. 네.
Excellent.
Excellent.
Everything is good.
Dr. Hwang said that Leah was healing really well and that over the course of time her breasts would look more natural and they would kind of sink in a bit so that they would be much more comfortable. He gave her so much advice and clarity on aftercare and how to properly look after herself so that there was a very minimal risk of complications. But overall, he gave her some incredible advice to help keep herself safe and to help with her healing process, which was amazing. After all Leah's checkups were done, she was treated to some aftercare, which included a post-op facial, as well as some specialized de-swelling treatments. One treatment used lasers to help speed up the de-swelling in her face, and there was another treatment that did pretty much the same thing for her breasts. After that, we were all done.
You've just done your final checkup. How are you feeling?
Finished.
Yeah, you're done.
yeah, ready to go home.
After the checkups were all done, me and Leah had to zip off back to the PCR testing site to grab our paper confirmation of our negative PCRs. We grabbed them and we zipped back. That night we packed up all of our stuff just so we were ready for the next morning to head to the airport and finally fly home. So after all of that, you're probably wondering, was it worth it? Is she happy? And the answer to the latter is yes. She is so much happier than I have ever seen her. And now it's been a couple of months since Leah had her surgeries, so I think it would be a very good point to do a before and after to really show you guys how much this has massively helped Leah. This surgery wasn't just surgery to my sister, it was a chance for her to finally feel happy in her body. It was a chance for her to align her physical body more with her gender. This was a chance for my sister to actually live more as herself. I cannot thank Docfinderkorea and Nana Hospital enough for gifting my sister these surgeries. They truly gave my sister a chance to be happy in the body that she's in, and I'm indebted to them so much. I will leave links to Docfinderkorea and also to Nana Hospital in the description down below. I cannot recommend their services enough. Docfinderkorea were instrumental in helping us navigate this entire trip, from helping to organize transport to helping to make sure we got to consultations on time, translation services. They were incredible. And Anna, love you. Nana Hospital were, in every sense of the word, stellar. They exceeded expectations at every turn. They had so much compassion and empathy towards my sister's situation. They not only were very clear and honest, but they were very patient and kind with any questions that my sister had. I do not think that this experience would have been as positive or as hassle-free if it weren't for those two. So if you are thinking about heading to Korea for surgery, whether it be cosmetic or medical, please do consider Docfinderkorea or Nana Hospital, because I cannot recommend either of them enough. They've essentially changed my sister's life, and I'll forever be indebted to them for that. So thank you. If you like this video, feel free to give it a little cheeky thumbs up. If you didn't like it, give it a thumbs down. It's a free world, you do you, boo. I've been overwhelmed, and so is my sister, with just the pure abundance of wonderful, kind, compassionate comments. I don't know if there's many communities on the internet that are as warm and welcoming and empathetic as you guys. I really am just the most lucky and privileged person to be surrounded by such amazing, incredible humans. So thank you for all of the love and support that you've given this series, but also, more importantly, the love that you've given my sister. It really gives me hope that visible trans people on the internet will one day not have to worry about being openly trans online, and that they won't have to know the judgment and hate that is currently attached with that label. And I'm so grateful for you. So thank you for making this very vulnerable experience an incredibly positive one, because it could have very easily gone the other way. Remember to hydrate, and I'll see you guys next week with another video. Kisses to your mother!